Conor McGregor wannabe. I can't wait to punch you right in your stupid smug face.
You are embarrassing. You're not a boxer. You're talking a lot about January, not a lot about August.
It's going down August 25th. They got me up.
There's no doubt about it. YouTube is changing.
Who's ready for the biggest internet event in history?
We are entering to what it appears to be the next biggest trend. Massive YouTubers fighting each other live. What's really going on here? We went from prank videos to Minecraft to this. Today, I wanted to talk about my legitimate opinion on this whole KSI versus Logan Paul fight that is currently going to take place August 25th, and some predictions for it. First off, who are these two gentlemen? Well, let's take a brief look, shall we? KSI, famous YouTuber, comedian, actor, rapper, and now boxer, established his channel on July 24th, 2009, starting off with FIFA content.
Hey guys, this is your boy KSI V.S
To gradually doing more and more IRL content, leading him famously to where he is now today. I personally never watched KSI too often, but I did find him quite impressionable and entertaining to say the least. I was even told by some people who partied with the guy, claiming that he brings a powerful presence to the room when he's around. Which I find is definitely the case for most massive YouTubers, to say the least. About 6 months ago, after some beef that had gone on between KSI and another YouTuber by the name of Joe Weller, we had seen for the first time in YouTube history two big YouTubers going head to head in a fighting match, live in what would go down in YouTube history as the first official YouTube fighting match. Chatbot, play the clip. No more diss track, guys. Just throw this YouTube beef in the ring!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the biggest white-collar boxing event ever. Ladies and gentlemen, from Eastbourne, please welcome Joe Weller.
Boos, screams, cheers. Joe Weller. It's fair to say that some of these guys might be suffering from sleepless nights after this.
We now go to his opponent. Coming into the ring, the man with the plan, trying to catch Joe if he can. Please welcome from Watford, the Nightmare, KSI!
The Nightmare. What's the music, please? The lights. Look at that, wow.
Wow, that is the gallant that you'd expect from him, though, isn't it?
No eye contact from Joe Weller.
Joe turns his back on JJ. He seems quite happy to go into this now.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for these two boys!
This is it! Are you ready? We've got a fight!
Joe's side is
This is
gassed.
AJ has got so much power.
It's waved off.
Oh, that is not.
The sidemen rushed in.
Gentlemen, make some noise.
Everybody,
for
your
both
winner,
boxers.
KSI!
And after all was said and done, KSI had won the match. Now let's take a brief look at the infamous Logan Paul, brother to Jake Paul, who I'm sure you've recognized once over at the Walmart poster section, ex-Viner, and now famous YouTuber who shook the world after his stunt that he pulled in the Japanese suicide forest Okigahara. recording himself and his friends as they walked into the forest, discovering a body, and disgustingly filming not only the body, but their reaction and uploading it to YouTube. Now, as I mentioned before, Logan Paul didn't start his big career off of YouTube. When Vine had ended in 2016, the big Viners had swung over to the YouTube scene, changing the game and making their way into the community in a big way. Ever since, YouTube has certainly not been the same, and in the center of it, both Logan and Jake Paul have been at the center stage of the controversy, even more so challenging KSI. So now here we are, days away from the KSI and Logan Paul fight, and what do I think about it? Well, I think it's most likely staged. Now, why do I feel that way? Well, let's take a look back to what we've seen in the UFC world already with the McGregor versus Mayweather fight, which was the biggest fight in combat sports history. With $100 million to the winner alone, and 50 million people watching this event, the preparation for this fight was massive. And with that being said, I just can't help but feel like even that was in itself potentially rigged, and here's why I think that. With that many people watching, with that much money being pooled into this live event, and all between just two guys who are putting on a show, I find it almost hard to believe that these guys didn't hang out sometime, grab some drinks in an undisclosed location, and laugh about how rich and famous they're both gonna get, discussing the match. Sure, the fight itself might not have been rigged in terms of who wins and loses, but I definitely think this was all just some big act to set the tone for the match. Plus, who really loses here? They both went down in history, both still got rich and famous, and are set for life regardless on who wins or loses.
You said you wanted to call someone out.
Jake Paul, Logan Paul, any of the Pauls, I don't care. Bring it.
Now let's take it back to the KSI versus Logan Paul fight. I think this is no different. Let's face it, as much as these guys are trash talking one another, and perhaps they really mean it, these guys are both gonna win in the end. We are seeing a popular form of entertainment in fighting being brought to YouTube, as these famous YouTubers are now pulling the spotlight onto themselves once more over a live and paid for event. Like the Mayweather and McGregor fight, I think there's definitely a high chance KSI and Logan Paul met up with one another and discussed how great this is going to be. They're not only going to attract a lot of media, they're only going to add to the fame they both already have. If you think the loser of this match, whether it be KSI or Logan, is going to have their career slip through their fingers, I can assure you that it won't be the case. Just like any sports, guys, this is entertainment. It pulls in money, and there is a massive market for watching fights take place. Now that we're seeing this big sport becoming more and more of a common occurrence with our famous YouTubers, what's not to say we won't see more of this for other YouTubers? Can you imagine PewDiePie versus Markiplier doing this? People would eat that up.
Very nice.
In hindsight, this entire event is actually saving Logan and Jake Paul's career. After the whole Suicide Forest stunt that Logan pulled and the many other controversies that both himself and Jake were creating, the attention the Paul brothers were getting was not the attention you really want. In fact, now that this event is happening, it's going to take away the focus on the controversies both Logan and Jake Paul had committed. And now that Jake Paul is also getting involved in this fight with KSI's brother Deji, we've got this dramatized brothers versus brothers staged event that's only setting the bar higher in terms of the excitement for the crowd. In terms of my predictions for who's gonna win this, it's hard to say. KSI, who won his match with Joe Weller, now has a reputation and title to uphold. However, Logan Paul jumping into the ring gives him the opportunity to rip that title away. Also, with Deji fighting Jake Paul, not that it's the main focus, but if Jake were to say win against Deji and Logan were to lose against KSI, there will still be some sort of win-lose situation that will somewhat redeem their outcome. However, if say both KSI and Deji lost, it would certainly bring a lot of attention to the utter defeat of them both, as Jake and Logan Paul now stand victorious, and people putting them on pedestals regardless of their actions in the past. However, there is more to this observation than just the fight itself, based on how both the Paul brothers, KSI and Deji, are presenting themselves in the public eye. It's not hard to tell that both Jake and Logan are treating this entire fiasco like a show. They're dressed very nicely, they're presenting themselves as professionals in this new area of entertainment, but it's very clear to see the many times they both get very uncomfortable with the pressure and the confrontation during their press conferences. KSI and Deji, however, have been approaching this in a much different and more hostile approach. KSI and Deji, but mostly KSI, have lost the moral fight because of the personal attacks they both have been committing towards Logan and Jake Paul, which included Logan's girlfriend and their family.
So I found out you got a new girlfriend now. Why don't you introduce me to her? Let me show her a real man. Everyone has my back, and no one has yours, besides your ludicrous mum and your disgusting delusional dad.
This is a boxing match, not a school fight. Regardless, this entire event, as uncomfortable as it has become, is certainly doing its job with getting attention and building up hype for the main event. If KSI loses, he loses his title and reputation. If Logan loses, well, his career is just gonna plummet further after all this goes down. And if this is staged, they'll both be laughing.